The ACT test now has lots of words for every problem. So if a word problem like this makes you want to run away screaming, we kind of have to just get over it and deal with it. So I'm going to try to give you every strategy I possibly can think of to help you tackle math word problems because I do not want you to run away screaming, okay? In English, you learn that the first sentence of a paragraph is the most important sentence. It's the topic sentence. It tells you everything you need to know about what's going to happen in that paragraph. In math, it's the complete opposite. The last sentence is the most important sentence. It tells you a lot of information and it tells you what you need to do. So we need to figure out how many pans of pasta and how many sandwich trays a caterer should make. Usually, this last sentence tells you what your X is and what your Y is. So, how many pans of pasta? That's going to be our X. How many sandwich trays? That's going to be our Y. A caterer is planning a party for 64 people. The customer has $150 to spend. A $39 pan of pasta feeds 14 people, and a $12 sandwich tray feeds 6 people. Now, in here, what two things are those numbers describing? The numbers are describing numbers of people and money. So, I'm going to have this first row be numbers of people, and the second row be money. So everything that we write in that middle row is going to be numbers that describe the number of people. Everything we write on the bottom row is going to be numbers that describe money. Our X is the number of pans of pasta. Our Y is the number of sandwich trays. The other thing that I see in this problem, 64 people and a total of $150 to spend, those are both totals. So this last column is going to be totals. Most systems of equations word problems follow this pattern where you can make this table to arrange your information and get your equations. So, number of people. I know that the caterer is planning a party for 64 people total. So 64 goes in the people row under totals. The customer has $150 to spend. That is a total dollar amount. A $39 pan of pasta. So if we bought one pan of pasta, how much would we spend? $39. If we bought 2 pans of pasta, how much would we spend? 39 times 2. So if we do $39 times the number of pans of pasta, that will tell us how many dollars we spend on pasta. Similarly, if we go down to the sandwich trays, $12 per sandwich tray. So $12 times the number of sandwich trays. Could you all see that if we take this 39x plus 12y, that's going to, oops, I wrote those in the wrong space, didn't I? Was anyone going to correct me? Did you guys notice that? 39 is money, so 39 times x, 12 times y, that's all money. Money times number of pans of pasta plus money times number of sandwich trays is going to give us the total amount of money. Now let's look at people. The pasta pans feed 14 people per tray of pasta. So 14 people per pan of pasta. The sandwich tray feeds 6 people. 6 people per sandwich tray. Add that up and that will give us the total number of people. This particular system you would probably want to solve using elimination, because I don't think getting an x or a y by itself would be very easy. So think about elimination. Which equation should we multiply and by what? Okay, if we multiply this top equation by -2, we could make it so we have -6y and +12y. So if I multiply it by -2, that would give me -28x plus -12y equals -$128. So the result of doing this multiplication is right there. Then we can add this equation and this equation together to eliminate and solve. $39x plus -28x is 11x. 12y and -12y is 0. And 150 plus a -128 is 22. To solve that, we divide both sides by 11 and get x equals 2. What would we now need to do to figure out y? Plug it in. Pick an equation to plug it into. I'm going to pick the top one. So 14x, so 14 times 2 plus 6y equals 64. What is 64 minus 28? Is that right? It is 36. Okay, making sure we did our mental math correctly. Now, the joyous thing with word problems is that you can't just say, your solution is the point 2, 6. We have to interpret the solution. So go back to that last line of your problem. How many pans of pasta and how many sandwich trays should the caterer make? The caterer should make 2 pans of pasta and 6 sandwich trays. Now, I don't think this particular problem is very realistic, because if a caterer planned to feed exactly 64 people for a 64-person party, that would probably be a disaster. But theoretically, real world. You're planting a 160 square foot garden with shrubs and perennial plants. Each shrub costs $42 and requires 16 square feet of space. Each perennial plant costs $6 and requires 8 square feet of space. You plan to spend a total of $270. How many of each type of plant should you buy to fill the garden? So, how many of each type of plant? That means that X is going to be one type of plant, and Y is going to be the other type of plant. So, X should probably be number of shrubs, and Y should be number of perennials. And I see some information about totals. I'm going to start by putting that in the table. I want to see if you can figure out where everything else goes in this table to write our equations. So take a couple minutes, try this out. So the other two things being described in here are for each plant, they're talking about the cost of the plant and the amount of space that it requires. So those are the other two rows. So shrubs. The shrubs cost $42 per shrub, so 42x. The shrub requires 16 square feet of space, so 16 square feet per shrub. The perennial costs $6 per plant, and requires 8 square feet of space per plant. If you add those amounts together, it will give you the totals. You're spending a total of $270, and your total amount of space is 160 square feet. If you were going to solve this problem with elimination, you'd probably have to multiply the top equation by -8 and the bottom equation by +6, or reversed, +8 and -6. But you'd probably want to try to make the y's be +48y and -48y. All right, let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is the same kind of problem, but there's a little bit of a twist to it that I want to make sure you see. Walnuts cost $3.50 per pound. Almonds cost $2.50 per pound. If the local grocery store is selling a mixture of 8 pounds of almonds and walnuts at $3.25 per pound, how many pounds of each type are you purchasing? So if X is walnuts, pounds of walnuts, and Y is pounds of almonds, they're definitely describing money. So walnuts are $3.50 per pound. Almonds are $2.50 per pound. That needs to add up to the total amount of money. What is the total amount of money? Do you notice that it's not stated? The only thing that we're told is that 8 pounds is going to be sold at $3.25 per pound. So what we need to do is $3.25 per pound times 8 pounds. That's going to give us the total amount of money. So $3.25 times 8 is $26. So that's the first weird thing, is that they don't give you the total amount of money, but they do give you the information that you need to figure out the total amount of money. The other thing I notice is that there's nothing else in here except this 8 pounds. So this next row is the amount, and the total amount is 8 pounds. We don't have a number to put in front of the X or the Y, but X represents the number of pounds of walnuts, Y represents the number of pounds of almonds, and when you add those together, it will give you that total 8 pounds.